Today's topic is aim of life, right? And Sri Aurobindo, when he talks of the aim of life, he has given us 4 theories of existence. So would you all like that we go through the 4 theories of existence? It will take around 15-20 minutes. Main topic, that is aim of life, the integral aim of life. Would you all like to discuss the 4 views of existence? So to study the aim of life is perhaps more important than all the subjects that we are taught in school, right? Yet, this subject is hardly ever discussed through our school and college life. Even in our family life, if the aim of life is discussed, mostly, we talk about happiness being the aim of life. It's very important. The aim of life is to be happy. And happiness is balanced with what? If you have a good job, if your business is doing well, if you're successful, and if you have a good spouse. If you're a boy, then a good wife who looks after your home well. If you're a girl, then it's a good husband, very intelligent and brilliant children who are also successful. This is the way aim of life is explained through our whole life. So aim of life is actually connected to a commercial well-being. The British idea of aim of life is always attached to commerce, right? Actually, happiness can be enjoyed when we are doing what we ought to do. So the word ought and is, they are conjoined together, and we are able to experience happiness. We'll talk about it. See, even the word dharma, if we have to understand the word dharma, we must equate it to the word ought. What is dharma? What is dharma for you? If you are doing what you ought to do. And that ought, who knows better than you? It's another thing that we do not root ourselves in our consciousness, do not root ourselves into our soul, and we work with the egocentric mind or the desire-centric vital, and then we forget what we ought to do. But I'm talking of those who are living life more consciously. So it is all of us who are working on living life more consciously that we are all gathered here together to understand what ought to be my aim of life. Let me see, I'm already leading, all of us are leading our life according to what we ought to do. But still, we are here to discuss this topic that shows that there is within us that something that says, और पता करते हैं, कुछ मैं मिस तो नहीं कर रही हूँ जीवन में. Let's find that out. That is why we've all gathered together, right? So neither success, nor sense enjoyments, nor rewards, nothing can give greater happiness than when that laser action comes out of us. That laser action comes out of us, which we ought to do, right? When ought and is are combined together, a laser action is enacted by us. And this can happen only when we have thought deeply about the aim of life, right? That's what we're going to do today. So to study the aim of life deeply, we need to know the answers to 3 or 4 basic questions. What are those questions? Who is God? What is this universe? Who has become this universe? It can't just come out of a big bang. Sorry. There seems to be some mistake there. Who is God? What is this universe? Who am I? What is my relationship with this universe? What ought to be my relationship with this universe? What ought to be my relationship with God? What is God's relationship with this universe? When we've thought about all these questions deeply, understood them, then we would be able to chalk out the right aim of life. Now, Sri Aurobindo has studied all these questions deeply, and as a result of his study, he has given us 4 theories of existence. according to the theory accepted. Now, if you accept the supracosmic theory, we'll talk about the four theories, then your aim of life will be dependent on the view that you accept. The four views of life that he has spoken about are namely the supracosmic view of life, the terrestrial or cosmic view of life. They'll seem like bombastic words, but when we understand, it won't be so bombastic anymore. So the supracosmic view of life, the cosmic or terrestrial view of life, the supra-terrestrial view of life, and the integral view of life. Okay? Now let's go one by one. It will not be so difficult as in terms are. So you got it? I mean, those who are on the Zoom, the supracosmic, the terrestrial or cosmic, the supra-terrestrial, and the integral. Four views of life Sri Aurobindo has talked about. Let's talk about the first, the supracosmic view of life. What is the view of this particular supracosmic aim of life? They believe that behind the world, far above the world, there is a reality. Behind the world, far above the world, there is a reality which is one without a second. There is only that one reality. In the supracosmic view, this supreme reality is alone real. Right? All that we see as the world, they believe that all that we see in the world, you, me, us, all this movement is illusory. This is all an illusion. It has no meaning, it has no significance. Now, who are the followers of this theory? Who have, yes, as Poonam says, Adi Shankara and Buddha. The supracosmic view without the second. You may call it God, you may call him Brahman. And in the supracosmic view, this reality alone is real. According to the supracosmic aim of life, all that we see as the world or as a movement in the world is all illusory. It is all an illusion and it has no meaning or significance. Now, who do you think are the followers or adherents of this supracosmic view of life? Yes, Poonam, you're right. Adi Shankara and Buddha. Now, Adi Shankara, the Vedanta that follows Adi Shankara, believes that the aim of life is to attain one's own reality in the self, to attain one's own reality in Brahman. According to Vedanta, Brahman is the only real, and what we see here in the universe is an illusion created by Brahman. And the real aim is to become one with that reality. Now, there could be differences in the degree of the identity. It could be a complete merger, it could be a qualified union, or whatever. But this culmination is positive in Vedanta, where there is something that is palpable. Brahman is. He exists. It exists. Brahman exists. And this culmination is positive in comparison to Buddhism, where the culmination is negative. As that step that you are attaining your own reality in the self, you're seeing your own reality in the self, Brahman. There may be differences in the degree of the identity, how much you are identifying with the self. It may be a complete merger or a qualified union or whatever. This culmination is positive. According to Adi Shankara, there is Brahman. It is Thos. It is there. Right? And that alone is. And this here is Maya. It is illusion. So you can understand their aim of life. Their aim of life will be that what you're doing here is of no significance if it is not taking you to Brahman. Right? All this is illusion according to them. But it is a positive Brahman. And the second adherent of the supra-cosmic view of life is Buddha. Right? Now, Buddha, consummation in Buddhism is looked upon as a nirvana, a cancellation of one's existence. Just like you extinguish a flame, that all this is not there according to him. There is none of all this. It is all, what there is none. There is nothing. Nirvana. How do you realize that reality? Tabhi to apna aim of life unka pata chalega. So the aim of life, according to them, how do you realize that reality? You remain unaffected by your relationships. You remain unaffected by the activities you are doing in this world. You remain unaffected by the enjoyments. You remain unaffected by the result of your action. You practice the discipline of non-attachment, right? Non-attachment. You develop the capacity to concentrate on the reality. You concentrate on the reality.
The same nirvana. Does it mean something related to this?
Yeah, that is Buddhism, in which you say you attain nirvana if you have attained that silence, that complete silence. Yeah, detachment is the beginning of that. But after the detachment, I think it's a pakka attachment to that. But in Buddhism, I'm sure we study Buddhism, we'll understand it deeper. The mother has said for the Buddha that he was the one who had seen God from the closest, right? You would be able to give the exact words, but mother said that Buddha saw God from the closest. But still he said there is no God, and he said there is nihil, there is nothing. So that we have to develop the capacity to think of the reality. We have to rise above our activities and experience quietude, calm, tranquility, and silence. And we have to arrive at the capacity of renunciation. Renunciation of all enjoyments, all activities. And finally, we have to merge our entire consciousness into that permanent silence. This is the way of the supra-cosmic view of life. So those who believe that reality alone is, and all this is an illusion, it is not significant, will obviously chart out their aim of life differently. There will be nothing to be done here. What is to be done is to merge into that silence or merge into that Brahman. Right? Everybody's clear? Not very difficult?
No, so that means they don't believe in the basic attitude of enjoyment in life.
Yeah.
Even while you're not enjoying or while you're having good time, they want themselves to remain calm in that during that time also.
Not attached to the enjoyment.
But being attached to it.
No, but there is no enjoyment because there is no you. According to them, there is no you. What you are seeing as yourself is an illusion. आप हो ही नहीं.
लेकिन है या नहीं है? But आम लाइफ में बंदा enjoy तो करता ही है ना. You seek want to be happy, you have parties, you enjoy. That is also renounced in.
Yes, according to the supra-cosmic, that enjoyment that you're having has to be renounced because you're getting attached to your enjoyment. That enjoyment has to be renounced. And slowly and steadily, more and more of your time should be spent on attaching yourself to either Brahman or the Nihil. Right? So that is a supra-cosmic aim of life. If that is our aim of life, we will choose our path differently. Now let's go to the second. The second aim of life that Sri Aurobindo talks about, not aim of life, but I would call it the view, is the cosmic terrestrial aim of life. Now, what is the cosmic terrestrial aim of life? In this, the view is that this existence is the only reality. Supra-cosmic was saying the only reality is God. But those who believe in the cosmic terrestrial aim, they said this is the only reality. And even if there is anything beyond this physical cosmos, it is of no significance to them. Those who believe in the cosmic terrestrial aim of life. What is important for them is this physical cosmos, this earth, our life, our future on earth, and the future of the earth. What will happen to this earth? That is important. What is there beyond this earth? उससे हमें क्या मतलब है? Jawaharlal Nehru said in his book Discovery of Truth, he said, number one, I don't believe. But even if there is anything beyond, I have no interest in it. What I am interested in is in this world, in this universe, in this life. What am I gaining from this life? So the other thing that they believe in is that earth is our field of action, right? There is no before or after life. Existence is confined to the earth, and that too for the duration of one life, right? Now, I won't go into the detail because this also goes a little into more detail that there are three kinds of materialists. There's a materialist, there is a vitalist, there is a physicalist. We won't go into that. Who are the followers? The followers are like Jawaharlal Nehru, Bertrand Russell, Einstein, Socrates. So I've kept these books out. This has been totally written, composed, edited by Kirit Joshi ji, my teacher. And he's given beautiful descriptions of these people, Jawaharlal Nehru, Bertrand Russell, Einstein, Socrates, Adi Shankara, Buddha. All of them, he's spoken in detail about them. Very beautiful. So, what is their field of action? Their field of action is that you tend to the welfare of humanity, because this is all that is real. Anything beyond it has no significance. So you tend to the welfare and progress of humanity here, while on earth, right? Or you live creatively, or you live for truth, beauty, and goodness. If you are a mentalist, then you are sattvic. So you will try to live for truth, beauty, goodness, all that is good. If you are a vital being, then you will try to live more creatively, that there should be creativity. If you're a materialist, then what will you try to do? That gain as much as you can, charvak. That you can gain as much as you can in this life, because isi life mein enjoy karna hai, right? So we've now talked of two aims of life. First was supra-cosmic, who believe that there is only that which is real, that which is beyond. Then the other second one was terrestrial or cosmic, who believe that only this universe is real. There's nothing beyond.
What's both are contrast?
Absolute contrast. Total contrast. And both do not believe the other one. Right? And we can see that these people, how the followers. Now let's go to the third aim of life, the third view of life. The third view of life is called the supra-terrestrial view of life. Supra-terrestrial. Second was terrestrial. This territory is what it is. Now, what is the supra-terrestrial? What is the view of the supra-terrestrial? The view of the supra-terrestrial is that this material cosmos is a reality. It is a reality, but its significance is very subordinate. This material cosmos is subordinately important. What is important? There are other worlds which are not material. They are supra-physical, supra-terrestrial worlds. And the highest of them is paradise, heaven, or our Vaishnavas believe Golok, right? And there will be harmony forever and ever and ever. And what else do they believe? That this individual human spirit, the soul, is immortal, right? A belief in the immortality is there, that there is eternal persistence of the individual human spirit apart from the body. And that is the key word of this conception of life, that this spirit is immortal. Okay? And according to them, life on this earth is a temporary sojourn. It's a temporary movement. Then where is the permanent movement? That life in worlds or planes of existence other than the earth is of permanent duration. Like what does Christianity and Islam believe? That there is one life And after this, you will either go into heaven or you will go into hell, and that will be a permanent destination, right? We believe in heaven and earth, heaven and hell, even in Vaishnavism. But we say you go to heaven or hell and then you come back. The movement is like that. And those who are Vaishnavas, they believe that if they go to Golok, then it is a permanent merger into God. So what is their aim? Their aim is that while they are on earth, they have to do such meritorious actions that will give them the qualification to enter after their physical death into the paradise of everlasting joy and harmony. This is the aim, their aim. While you're on earth, you do such good actions that you're able to reach paradise or Golok or heaven. This view believes that the true home of man is beyond this earth life. And this earth life is in some way or the other only a deviation from a celestial and spiritual path into the material existence. Right? Got it? The followers, as I said, are Christianity, Islam, and Vaishnavism. Vaishnavism because they believe that there is heaven and hell, but they don't believe that it is permanent. They believe that you come back. So their aim of life, their field and path of action is what? That one must develop within oneself one's ethical being, the right, that which we ought to do as a means of ascending to heaven, right? Or the other supraterrestrial planes. And the development of the spiritual being. Ek to pehle ethical aayenge. Like even Sri Krishna says in the last 6 chapters of the Gita, what does he say? He says that if you are very, very materialistic, if you are tamasic, you try to become rajasic. Then if you are rajasic, then you try to become sattvic. And after that, you can go beyond the 3 gunas. And then you can connect to the soul and become an instrument of the divine's will. So, the development of the ethical being and the development of the spiritual being as a means of ascending to heaven. So, these are the 3 theories of existence, right? Which are usually found in different combinations to suit the complexities of life on earth. At some stage or the other, men realize that none of these ways of seeing is exclusively satisfying. See the word exclusively satisfying. See, man himself refuses to accept earth life as the be-all. We all also don't want this cannot be the be-all and end-all of life. In us also there is an innate turn, an innate attraction to that eternal, to that immutable reality. It's an innate attraction that we have to that which is beyond us, that which is real, that which we call God or divine. And that is what the supracosmic is saying. It's saying that alone is real. So what we are saying is that we have an attraction to that, but that alone is not real. But supracosmic says that this terrestrial is not there. The terrestrial says this alone is real. Right? And the supraterrestrial says that the heaven, hell, only that is real. The most beautiful thing is what Sri Aurobindo has told us, the integral view of life. He says the supracosmic is true, but that alone is not alone. That alone is not true. It is not the only reality. And the integral view of life believes that reality is true, but that is not alone true. That has manifested itself as this universe. So this universe is also true. And not only this universe, the integral view of life says that heaven, hell, Golok, all that are also true. So you understand the integral view of life? It says all the 3 are true, but not exclusive. Got it? Everybody is clear? Everybody on Zoom is clear? Right? So what does the integral aim of life say? The integral aim of life says there is a divine reality. This divine reality has manifested itself as the universe. So this universe is also real. It is not an illusion. This universe is not alone on the earth. There are planes of or worlds which are supraterrestrial. So this world is real and the supraterrestrial worlds are real. Both exist simultaneously. And what is this earth life? This is the most important point of the integral view of life. The most important point is that this earth life is the field for the evolutionary unfolding. And who is unfolding? The divine himself is unfolding, because God has become the soul. Each one of us has the soul inside us. And that soul is unfolding itself through what? Through this outer being. We have three coverings. In our Vedas, in our Vedic literature, we called it the Annamaya, the Pranamaya, the Manomaya. In other terms, we can call it the physical, the vital or emotional, and the mental. So the soul, which is inside, which is God, is unfolding itself, trying to manifest itself through this outer being, which is real, which is not an illusion. Right? Is everybody clear on this? I'll repeat myself. Earth life is the field for the evolutionary unfolding of the divine reality. Earth life is the field for the evolutionary unfolding of the divine reality, which has become this manifestation. That divine reality has become this body. That divine reality has become this emotional being. That divine reality has become this mental being. But that perfect has become the imperfect. And after becoming the imperfect, the perfect became many, Bahusyam, and those perfect sparks planted themselves, and each one of us has that spark within us. And the aim of our life is that this spark is able to manifest itself through this outer imperfection. That gradually, slowly, shanay, this imperfect manifestation starts becoming consciously more and more and more perfect. Right? Everybody's clear? And another very important part is that an all-seeing divine plan is working itself out. What is happening to you is a divine plan working itself out through you. A divine plan is working itself out through Mala. A divine plan is working itself out through me. The divine plan is working. It is capable of having so many plans. It has a plan for each one of us. All we have to do is learn to consciously align ourselves to that divine plan. To be able to have a direct connection. And वो यही तो है. हमारे भीतर ही तो है. The divine is where? He's not far. Right here within us. And the aim of our life is to be able to connect to the divine within ourselves and keep referring ourselves to that perfection within us and ask for the plan for the next moment and the next moment. Connect all the time. That is what we have to do so that we become perfect instruments of the divine's plan. Right? Someday we'll do a discussion on what was Arjun's question to Krishna and what was Krishna's answer in the Gita. And we will see the concordance of that with what we are talking today. Right? So an all-seeing divine plan is working itself out through this bewildered state that we are in. Why is our state bewildered? Because it is always swimming between joy and suffering, the dualities.
Just one point here, the first concept that you brought out, right? Isn't it surprising that they have full attention on that one universal reality? They believe in it. And that one powerful element is not communicating to the person saying, look, you got it half correct.
Yeah.
I mean, they are connecting to that reality. And in spite of connecting to it, they are not aware that, look, this isn't the clear picture. Because their source is right.
Yeah, the source is right, but they have obliterated the manifestation of that source. They have completely put blinders on themselves and they're saying that reality alone is real. But I am not there. You are not there. But how? I'm sure God has not made a huge mistake, that He has made this world and the aim of life is to get out of it as soon as possible into moksha. Then why has He sent us here if the aim of life is to get out soon?
So even if they may get an insight, but they are so focused, they just disconnected any input coming to them because they keep on eliminating that aspect of the manifestation.
Yeah, but then I would like to give them some points and some hope that in this life, they've learned to connect to that reality. In the next life, maybe they're able to understand the reality of this manifestation as well, right? So who are the followers or adherents of this path? Sri Aurobindo and the mother, right? And what is the field and path of action? That discover the divine reality, right? Work for the full manifestation of that divine reality or the divine life, divine will in this physical life. This physical life is as important, very important rather, because it is here that we will be able to turn our imperfections into perfections. Consciously, we will transform our imperfections into perfections. And that can be only done in the physical life. It can be done when we go to the supraterrestrial planes too, but it will be much slower. But while we are in the body, while we are in this vital being, emotional being, while we are in this mental being, while we have all the difficulties of life, that work is much easier. Because the difficulties give us an opportunity to grow in our being. The difficulties don't come as punishments. They come as opportunities to grow. So every time we get a difficulty in our life, we should say, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Because you've given me one more opportunity to become closer to you. Right? So in this approach,
That doesn't happen so easily.
but we are talking of those people who are conscious, who are making an effort. We are all making an effort. So it will happen easily when we decide that it's going to happen. That when the difficulty comes, I will use the difficulty to connect more concretely with the divine within me. More and more concretely. I will offer this difficulty and I will offer myself. Make me choose that path that you have willed, जो आपका संकल्प है, जिस संकल्प के थ्रू मैं वो करूं, जिस एक्शन से मैं इस डिफिकल्टी को यूज कर पाऊं to transform my weakness. Nobody else knows my weakness more than I know. Everybody else may point to some weaknesses, but I know all my weaknesses very clearly. Right? So in the integral approach, the supracosmic is true. The supracosmic reality, what they say, the supracosmic is true. It is the supreme truth of being. All is derived from it, but that is not alone true. Right? In the integral view of life, the terrestrial is true, but it alone is not true. Right? The transcendent has manifested as the cosmos. So this cosmos is real. In the integral view of life, the supraterrestrial planes, heaven, hell, golok, are a truth and a reality, but they alone are not true. Right? The evolution of the individual, which takes place on earth, does not stop on earth. We go on evolving when we move to the other planes, then we come back again and we will take a further step. Whatever we have been able to gain in this life will come back to us. We will come at that level and then we will move forward from there. Right? So after this, we'll take a little pause if anybody has any questions, and then we will talk about the integral aim of life with in a little more detail. Yeah.
And the third one that you talk about, the fact that there are other worlds. If you see in the public discourse, the integral concept being that you can experience it now for people who've evolved and they are at that stage one. There is nothing in terms of any available aspect to this, right? Like Kirit Uncle had given a lecture on the Isha to an initial group and you were part of it, where he talked to you and he said it in the lecture that each of the gods that you talk about, and he gave an example of Ganesha, he said it stands for wisdom and abundance. And he said you can experience it, right? But I haven't seen a discourse of this aspect saying that in the real world, you have all of this also as an option as part of integral. Why is that? Why is this so opaque that there isn't any integral concept saying this is a reality as well?
But there is an integral concept. We're talking about it. You go to Pondicherry and you hear Anmol talking. You hear people who are adherents, followers of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother. For them, this is very normal. Yeah.
Yeah, after this question is that for a very long time, especially since
Yes.
Buddhism became dominant, the tendency was more to go towards the transcendent side. And there's a tendency to not regard the world as
Real.
which it is. And the correction has been made only in the last 100 or 120 years. So on the one hand of the scale, you have 2,500 years. On the other hand, you have only 100 years. So naturally, it is going to take some more time for the view to become more popular.
Yes. Okay. Now we'll talk about the integral aim of life. So I'm going to begin with the story. And the story is from the Bible, Psalm 12.6, right? It's a very beautiful story. I love to tell the story, and I think you've heard it earlier. So once a woman, this is from the Bible, once a woman went to a silversmith to watch the process of refining silver. Silver ko refine karte hai na? So she saw that the silversmith held a piece of silver over the fire and he let it heat up. And he explained that in refining silver, he needed to hold the silver in the middle of the fire where the flames are hottest so that all the impurities could be burnt away. She asked the silversmith if it was true that he had to sit there right in front of the fire the whole time that the silver was being refined. She said, do you have to sit right there? And the silversmith said, yes. I not only have to sit here holding the silver, but I have to keep my eyes on the silver the entire time that it is in the fire. If the silver is left for even one moment longer in the flames, it will be destroyed, he said. So the woman was silent for a moment. Then she asked the silversmith that you are sitting there, you're holding the silver as it's being refined, and then when it's all gone into the cauldron, you are turning it around. How do you know when the silver is fully refined? He smiled and he answered, oh, that's easy. When I can see my image in it. The Bible says in Malachi 3.3, he sits as a refiner and purifier of silver. Now, this is a clear analogy of how God refines us, right? How he refines us through the difficulties of our life. Just as the silversmith holds the silver where the flames are hottest, God also puts us through the fire of ordeals and difficulties. He doesn't give these difficult situations as punishments. Not at all. He gives them as opportunities for us to be able to refine ourselves and grow inwardly and outwardly. And just as the silversmith sits in front of the fire through the process of refining, God also never leaves us alone during our difficulties and ordeals, never leaves us alone. He watches us not only from outside, he watches us from inside, from above. We are always watched over by him. He holds us in his loving arms, in his embrace, just as the silversmith keeps watching over the silver while it is getting refined on the hot flames. And just now, see, this is the most important point. Just as the silversmith feels that the refinement process is complete when he can see his own image in the reflection, so too, God continues to give us difficult times until we perfect ourselves and become an image of Him, a reflection of God, and until we become as perfect as we can in this life, as perfect as God.
It's truly beautiful.
है ना?
Must have sit standard.
This holy heat that is applied to us, it is applied to us with the clear goal to lead us towards the real aim of life. What is the real aim of life? The real aim of life is to refine our outer being. What are our outer beings? Our physical body, our emotional being, our mental being, until they become as refined as God Himself, as refined as the soul within us, which is God Himself. And this is what the prayer of the Christian is. This is what the prayer in the Bible is. Let thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Right? So the aim of the Christian is that may his will be done through us. Now, let us see what is the aim of Islam. Right? Let's see what the Quran says. The Quran in Surah Sad 3:11, says, Allah will not change the condition of a people until they change what is in their hearts. Right? And to follow Islam is to live in submission to the will of Allah. बोलते हैं ना, अल्लाह की will है इसलिए हम ये कर रहे हैं. In simple terms, what does it mean? What it means is that we need to perfect ourselves such that the will of Allah would manifest through us without being corrupted. And what corrupts the divine's will? Our ego and our desire. दो ही problems हैं. Everything else that is a problem is a manifestation of either our ego or our desire. Right? So, what is the aim of Islam? To become that perfect instrument of the divine's will. What was the aim of Christianity? To become that perfect instrument through whom divine's will is enacted on earth. Now, what does our Sanatan Dharma say? In the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna says to Arjuna, and you all have heard it many times, Mad Bhavam Agata. He says it twice. He says, by purifying yourself through knowledge, that is what we are trying to do today. By purifying yourself through knowledge and by taking refuge in me, become my natured. Mad Bhavam, nature. Agata, become my natured. O Arjuna. This is in the 4th chapter, 10th verse. So we come to the conclusion that in all the faiths, the 3 important faiths, the Lord and Master has put forth a similar aim of life. And that is that we have to keep perfecting ourselves in such a way that we start reflecting God in our outer personality. Right? And finally, we become a perfect instrument of God. वो धनुष बन जाए जिसको ईश्वर अपने कर में ले ले, और जो हमारे थ्रू जो भी एक्शन हो वो, बिकॉज उनके हाथ में है ना, ये तो धनुष है और ये धनुष उनके हाथ में आ गया. अब हमारे थ्रू जो भी एक्शन निकले, वर्ड्स निकले, थॉट्स निकले, इमोशंस निकले, they are all like arrows which God is shooting through us. That is the real aim of life. And the aim of life is that there is no corruption, no deviation that happens through this instrument. अब ये instruments को ठीक से समझना पड़ेगा, because in instruments के through होना है ना ये काम. These instruments are not just फालतू, they're not just there. They have to be perfected. Now the mother has said I'm just repeating what I'm saying through the mothers. I don't have the exact quotation. The mother has said that there is a divine will waiting to manifest through each one of us at every moment. कहने का मतलब at every moment, the divine has a unique will for you, a unique will for her, a unique will for me. The next moment he has a unique will for you. It's like that. And we must perfect our outer instruments consciously in such a manner that that will may manifest itself through us without any corruption, without any deviation, without any disturbance. Right? Through the last 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna has given to Arjun concrete ways to evolve himself out of his narrowness, his lower nature into a divine nature. And he says that this has to be done consciously at all times. Even if you're drinking a glass of water, it can be done consciously instead of tuck, tuck, tuck. How long does it take to become conscious? 2 seconds. In Jaipuria school, we call it the 2-second magic. We call it the 2-second magic. Children understand these. These are terminologies that they understand. Have you done the 2-second magic? And when you go on saying it, the teachers go on repeating it, it becomes a habit. All you grandmothers, please start doing the 2-second magic with your grandchildren. It is just, but see, there is a difference. One is that you say it, one is that you believe it, and the third is that you are doing it yourself. When you are doing it yourself, when you say it to your children, they will listen to it like this.
What's that now? Second magic.
The 2-second magic is that, Auntie, the coffee has come for you. You've taken it in your hand. And 1 second, you just say to God, I offer this coffee to you. It is thine. And you are the coffee. And the person who's sipping it is you. And I offer it to you. And then you sip it. The fact that you're listening here, you offer the whole process to God. Let thy will be done, not mine.
So it's like gratitude all the time.
Gratitude and offering what you're doing. Because you want to become his Dhanush. So for you to become his Dhanush, आपको बार बार उनको बोलना पड़ेगा, बार बार. जैसे अगर आप और हम एक दूसरे को एक बार पार्क में मिले थे, फिर दोस्ती करने के लिए हमने कभी व्हाट्सएप भेजा, कभी आपने भेजा, तो हम लोग क्लोज हो गए, फिर आप टॉक्स में आने लग गए. तो ये क्लोजनेस आपको, आपके अंदर बैठा है ईश्वर, उस ईश्वर के साथ में ये कनेक्शन करने के लिए बार बार उसको एसएमएस भेजना पड़ेगा ना, बार बार व्हाट्सएप भेजना पड़ेगा. वही 2-second मैजिक है. वो जो आपने उसको याद किया, द थिंग दैट यू रिमेम्बर्ड एंड यू ऑफर्ड, दैट्स द 2-second मैजिक. Right?
Conscious.
It has to be consciously done.
Consciously. Gita में भी भगवान यही कह रहे हैं कि you offer all your actions to me.
हाँ, गीता का bottom line is this. The bottom line is this, that you connect with me, you offer to me all that you're doing again and again and again, many times a day. Right? So these last 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita are of utmost importance for all of us who wish to transform, who wish to perfect ourselves with the aim of becoming perfect instruments of God's will. These are the 4 words. Perfect instruments of God's will, not mine. So what is our prayer? Let thy will be done, comma, not mine. I am praying to you. I want this. I am asking for this. But my last prayer is, let thy will be done, not mine. So if you want to cancel my prayer, my wish, my desire, cancel it. But I have put it forth to you. But in the end, I am saying, let thy will be done, not mine. Right? Now, I'm going to say some about the 3 instruments. It's something very simple. Everybody knows. It's just a reiteration. But we need to reiterate these things to make sure that we are doing it in our life. Right? So what are the three instruments? The physical body, the vital and emotional body, and the mental body. And once these three are purified, then these three are able to connect directly with the soul within. Right? Right? So, what is the nature of the physical body? What is tamas? The physical body is essentially tamasic in nature. Right? What is the nature of the emotional or vital body? It is rajasic in nature. It has the life force. I want, I'm angry, I'm greedy, I'm this, I'm this. It is rajasic in nature. What is the essential nature of the mind? It is sattvic in nature. And what is the nature of the psychic being or the soul? It is perfect. It is gunatit. It is God Himself. And all these four is me. Right? Physical, which is tamasic, emotional, which is rajasic, mental, which is sattvic, and the perfect, the soul which is within me. Which is me? Because life after life after life, it is the soul that is migrating. So, we need to perfect these three outer instruments. Now, this we all know that our physical body is lethargic. In the morning, when we have to get up, how many of us want to sleep just a little bit more? All of us. The alarm, not you? You get up, what say? Wow, very good. Excellent. So, actually we get up, but एक बार तो वो lethargy feel होती है. If you don't feel that, it's fantastic. The other habit is of tamas का क्या nature है? Of loving ignorance. Who will make that effort of reading? Who will make that effort of reading and understanding? And who will make the effort of reading, understanding, and learning? Ratna, Anmol does that. He has like a treasure house inside here. So, yeah. So, he's like an encyclopedia. He's my go-to reference, ready reference. So, since our body is essentially lethargic, full of inertia, and likes to live in ignorance, when we become aware of this lethargy, this lethargic nature, what should we do? We must strive to become rajasic. Move the body, get life force into it. A strong body, a strong life force are needed to take evolution forward for this body, right? Steps must be taken to throw out the tamas from our nature and bring strength and force into the frame of our body. So what should be done? Our physical body must be kept in perfect shape, perfect health, perfect beauty. Mother says beauty is very important. What we do, how we dress, how we present ourselves, everything is beautiful. But more important is also the body itself must be healthy. We must do everything we can to keep it in perfect shape. Because if we want to experience God, it has to be done while we are in this body. If we sit down to meditate and we have a knee pain, we have a bad back, how are we going to do it? So this body has to be made perfect. And how is it to be made perfect? By training it. Of course, we should not strain beyond the capacity of the body. But by a progressive training, a disciplined physical routine of walking or jogging, exercise, pranayam for the lungs, then the tamas of the physical cells will get the noise, There's no place for you. You know what, tamas? You have no place in my body. In the morning when the alarm bell rings, I will not snooze. I will not allow this tamas of the body to stay. I will kick it out. I have to kick it out because this body needs to be perfect. We need to work on it. Not only that, food habits. I know what is wrong for me. At our age now, we can't afford to mess around with the wrong kind of food. Because 6 inch ki zaban ke liye, for the 6-inch tongue, miles of our intestines are going to get hurt. What are we doing? We have to become conscious if we are on this path, right? There's no point. And we must get adequate sleep. There are people who keep up late. There is a circadian rhythm. The sun, what time the sun wakes up, what time the sun goes down. While we were in college life, children are keeping up all night, sleeping all day. Let them do what they're doing. But at our age now, we have to understand the rhythm of the sun, the rhythm of the moon, and our own body and our time. So, tamas has to be thrown out. Lethargy has to be thrown out. And our laziness to read and understand has to be thrown out consciously. Right? Now, this is the outer means of developing the body. But can we depend only on the outer means? Or is there an inner mean also? The inner means is to call the divine. I'm going for this exercise. And I invite your force, I invite your light into this. Help me. So when we call the divine force into the work that we are doing consciously, a big difference happens. Ki khali hum apne, I am exercising. No, the divine force is helping me to exercise. When I'm going to eat food, I invite the divine force and let me eat that which will make me healthy. So the divine force will bring his force down into me and help me to eat the right stuff. Similarly for sleep, right? Now let's go to our emotional being. Our emotional being, our vital emotional being. As we said, it is Rajasic in nature. Rajasic means there's a life force, right? Now the vital is a seat of duality. Love, hate, angry, full of love, sorrow, happiness. It keeps like moving like a pendulum between these two. And the problems of the vital being are, we all know our problems. Hate, greed, anger, jealousy, pride, ego, despair, frustration, sorrow, so many, right? Now, if one is Rajasic and one is full of the difficulties of the vital, what does Sri Krishna say to Arjun? That one must strive to become Sattvic. He says in the 3rd chapter, 37th verse, Kama esha krodha esha rajogun samudbhava. He says this is desire. And what is the companion of desire? Its companion is wrath, anger. And these are all children of Rajas. They are all devouring, all polluting. Know thou this as the soul's great enemy, and they must be slain. Right? So to refine our vital being is perhaps one of the most important things to do, and also one of the most difficult things to do. Right? When we are sitting with somebody, with a friend, or a friend phones up and is trying to tell us about somebody else, some gossip, how much do we enjoy it? Now, if we want to refine our vital, what do we have to do at that moment? At that moment, we have to be able to be strong enough to say, mere ko nahi sunna hai, kya fayda hai? Can we change it? I don't want to hear it. And later on, not at that moment, but at a later moment, to tell that friend, you know what, वो discuss करने से उस समय के लिए तो consciousness down हो जाती ना. So why should we bring our consciousness down? Let us all make an effort consciously at all times.
Anjali, this could be also looked at in a little different way. If there is somebody who has nobody else to talk to, and that person wants to pour out whatever is happening in that person's life, maybe with some family member or something, and you could offer yourself as, Ma, I'm doing this also as a service. उसको अपने दिल की बात खाली करने के लिए I'm just sitting there to listen. I'm offering it to you. But उसको तो help हो रहा है ना, उसका तो दिल हल्का हो रहा है.
दिल हल्का होता नहीं है.
नहीं?
नहीं होता. अच्छा, you try it out. That
No, I
whenever,
am doing it.
No, no.
That's what I'm wondering.
दिल हल्का नहीं होता है.
नहीं.
What happens is कि the other person has poured out, and the more they pour out, the more it wells up. But if you pour it into a well,
How
into
do you explain to that person?
that you
Like,
talk,
for example, suppose like it's my mother. If she wants to speak about her dil ki baat and she doesn't know who to talk to. So she says, नहीं बस तुमको मैं बोल देती हूँ मैं हल्की हो जाती हूँ. Now I don't let it bother me. I have
So-
offered it.
so you have to help your mother.
हाँ,
But it's being recorded, but
sorry, yeah.
but you have to help that person by saying that when you tell me, I'm not being able to change your circumstance.
Okay.
But if you're able to tell God within you, then either the circumstance will change or you will stop feeling so bad about it.
But that person has to also understand.
But if they don't understand, then by saying this again and again and again and again and again and again,
So
one day they will stop saying
I
it.
say, okay, I don't want to listen to your problems.
No, this is not the way to say it.
No, no. I
The
mean,
way to say it is not at that time when they are halka karoing. At a later time when she's not halka karoing. At that time you tell her that, you know what, when you tell me about that person is not changing.
yes.
Your circumstance is not changing. By telling it, you are only making that problem larger because it is in her the negativity. This is a negative thing that she has felt. And that negativity, because you've opened yourself to negativity, the negative force has entered. You made an aperture in your consciousness. And first the negativity comes in this much. And because you are listening, she's speaking, that you make the aperture larger and larger and more negativity enters. It's not helping her to grow.
Not affecting me also.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
Because you're allowing the negative force to enter into you.
Yeah. Yes.
So,
I think you're so right. You go through it all the time. She has to offer it to God.
Yeah, that's what I keep doing. After I've heard it, I offer more.
no, but what about her? She's,
Not yourself.
it's not, yeah.
You
Yeah, you're fueling her process. You're adding fuel to her fire. If you
But
keep,
I thought I was helping.
you're not helping. No. Every mother has this, and there are children who help the mother by saying, I do not want to be part of this conversation. You have to, and if you really can't talk to God, start writing it down. Write it down, put it in front of God, and then tear it and throw it. Do not leave papers behind for people to read. But write it down, offer it to God, and tear it. Yeah? So, this was one of the things. There are many other negativities that we have. There are moments when we get very angry or we feel very angry. So, at that moment, to be able to offer that anger, that is important to offer, keep offering, inviting the divine force and consciously transforming yourself. This conscious transformation is what we are talking about. This anger also has to be offered. Desire. We go to, the things that we do out of desire, we don't need, but we are doing it out of desire. We need to sort it out within ourselves. We have to sort it out within ourselves. Right?
It's amazing how it works. It's amazing when you offer.
When you offer,
How it works out.
I'm so
It's a
happy.
small thing, it's my granddaughter's birthday coming. It's going to be 13. And my daughter-in-law's birthday. It's going to be 50. Now I was in a fix what to give to them. And then I prayed. I said, please, Bhagwan, I don't have that kind of money to give gold to both of them so much. And when I was cleaning my cupboard, I found a beautiful set. Gold set. Just the right thing to give to this young girl.
How
Who's
beautiful.
turning 13. And lovely chugas, which I'm not going to be wearing. So I can aram se give away. And I said, this is yours.
Just see, you offered and it came in front.
It is cute.
That's the magic of the 2-second magic. Yeah.
And how I've been worrying about it. And it happens all the time.
It happens all the time. When it is done sincerely. करना क्या है एक अंजलि में लेके 2 सेकंड भी नहीं लगता है, कभी तो 1 सेकंड में हो जाता है. It has to be done again and again. Right? So, our lower vital must strive to manifest the higher qualities. What are the higher qualities? Because we have a higher vital also. The higher vital is attached to God, it's very close to God. And we can Let the lower vital move into the higher realm. What is the higher vital? It exudes love, harmony, sweetness, compassion. All these things are the nature of the higher vital. See, the mother has given a hint. I will read out the mother's words. All that brings with it or creates peace, faith, joy, harmony, wideness, unity, and ascending growth comes from the truth. While all that carries with it restlessness, doubt, skepticism, sorrow, discord, selfish narrowness, inertia, discouragement, and despair comes straight from the falsehood. Now we can mark ourselves. Am I working from a space of despair, sorrow, discord? Then it is all coming from the negativity. It's coming straight from falsehood. Why do I want to be part of it? I don't need to be part of it. Right? And to refine the vital being, what should we do? First of all, we must aspire. जिसको कहते हैं हिंदी में अभीप्सा. There should be not a desire but an aspiration. Aspiration lifts us. And who is there for aspiration? The soul is the flame of aspiration. The minute we connect with the soul, the nature of the soul is, it's called the flame of aspiration. Right? So we have to aspire. We have to aspire for what? For growing into the true vital. That my lower vital transforms consciously into the higher vital. We should have a burning aspiration that I want to change my nature. I want to change my nature, and God will help us if we have that burning aspiration. Right? Secondly, what do we have to do? We have to reject. Reject what? All that takes me away from the path. All that takes me away from the path. Gossiping, criticizing, argumentation, all, and there are many other things. We have to reject it. As Sri Aurobindo says, what is it? Pull desire out from its bleeding roots. Pull the desire. When we reject something, it will bleed. Because I have got into the habit of that, right? अब उसको छोड़ना तो बहुत मुश्किल होएगा. But reject it, let it bleed, but reject it. Right? So, aspire, reject. And the third and most important is offer. Offer your impurities, offer your weaknesses before Shakti, right in front of Shakti. And let that force enter into your weakness. That force will enter and will help if we consciously aspire to transform ourselves. Right? It is Anmol's favorite quote from Savitri. To feel love and oneness is to live. To feel love and oneness is to live. वो जीवन ही क्या जीवन है जिसमें एकत्व की अनुभूति ही नहीं हुई. Ekatva, that oneness, that's, we are all one. Actually speaking, there is only one mind. इससे से पानी के बुलबुले पानी के समुंदर में है. आपका mind is one bulbula in that whole samundar. That whole water, ocean is the mind, the universal mind, and your mind is one bubble in that. That way the mind is, there is one mind. Every time we think something positive, we raise the quality of the universal mind. Every time we think a negative thought, we bring that negative, the universal mind down. We stain it. Every time we have a negative vital emotion, we bring down the universal vital a notch down. We can't do that. We ought not to do that. Every time we don't care for our physical body and we let our physical body go into disease because of our neglect, we are bringing the physical body of the universe down. But there is only one body. We may feel this is different, but the whole universal physical consciousness must not be brought down. So we must look after each part of our being, right? So when our vital being gets suffused with love, harmony, Sweetness. You know, the word sweetness always reminds me of the soul, because the nature of the soul is sweetness, madhvada. It's called madhvada in the Vedas. Madhvada comes from the word madhu. So it is the taster of honey. That's what it's called in the Vedas, right? Sweetness, compassion, karuna. And most of all, when we start experiencing a subtle unity, a oneness with nature, when it hurts us, when we are wasting water. Is it necessary to waste water? Is it necessary to have the tap on when you're putting soap and doing this? You can take water, close the water, use soap, but at that time the water doesn't have to flow. Switch it on again. That shows that you have a subtle love for nature as well. You understand the need of water for the whole universe. So it's these little things, the big things, the small things, even the smallest things. We're brushing our teeth. Does the water have to be on? We're soaping our body. Does the water have to be on? These are little things. We open staple pins and we throw it in the dustbin. And you know how our dustbin goes into the open spaces. Now, when the bird pecks on it and eats that staple with its food, she dies that moment. How difficult is it for us to separate our metal waste, separate our glass waste, separate our plastic waste? How difficult is it? But we'd rather not do it because it's too much effort. But that just shows that we are disunited. We are separate from nature, separate from the environment. We don't care. This is what has to change. In our practical life, we have to change. It's good to talk of big things, but those big things have to be implemented in our life, right? So when we start experiencing a subtle unity, a oneness with nature, a oneness with all the beings, with the birds and the bees and everything, the flower and the trees, we will become willing instruments of God. And isn't that the aim of our life? To become the perfect instrument for the will of God to manifest through us, right? So we've talked about the physical being. We've talked about the vital emotional being. Now let's talk about the mental being. So the basic nature of our mental being is sattvic. So our mental being has been called in the Upanishads as Manomaya Purusha, Prana, vital, Sharira, physical, Neta. Manomaya Purusha, Prana, Sharira, Neta. What does that mean? That the mental being is the leader of our vital, emotional and our physical. What does that mean? It means that when the vital acts up, who is it that can help? It is the mind that can help, that can try and put some kind of a knowledge into the vital. ये तेरी greed है, ये तू नहीं है, तेरी greed बोल रही है. But this is not you. Change it. The mind can tell the vital. So what does Sri Aurobindo say? Sri Aurobindo says that the first beginning of real self-knowledge is when the mind starts perceiving the separate parts of one's being. When we start perceiving, you know, what I did just now, that's not my nature. That was my vital which misbehaved. It is my vital which got angry. It is my vital which said all this. And then you take that vital and you place it before the divine and say, Divine, my vital has really misbehaved. I offer this vital to you. Please help to transform it. Please help to transform it. Right? So Sri Aurobindo says that the beginning of real self-knowledge is when the mind starts perceiving Adi Ghante mein, starts perceiving the separate parts of one's being. When the mind starts perceiving its many personalities, it is my physical which is being tamasic, which is being lazy. But my mind can push the physical and move it. Chalo, walking nahi miss honi hai. It has to move. So when we start perceiving, one sees clearly that it is my body which is lethargic, or it is my vital which is misbehaving. and I can change it because my mind has that capacity. And you know what? The higher mind, we have a mind and we have a higher mind, like we talked about the vital and the higher vital. The higher mind is able to refer directly to the psychic being, the soul. So if we go on referring it to the mind, you offer it to the soul, offer it to the soul. And then when the higher mind refers it to the soul, then the soul is able to bring about a transformation in our vital being, in our physical being, even in our mind, there and then. Right? Now, Sattvic being also has a problem. Can somebody tell me the problem of the Sattvic being? Golden chain. The Sattvic ego. I am a very virtuous person. I to separate my waste. So I am to doing a great job. This ego, this golden chain, is worse than the vital chain, which is silver, and the physical chain of lethargy, which is iron. Right? So one has to beware that even if you are a little Sattvic, it is nothing. Because what do we have to become? We have to reflect God Himself. Are we anywhere close to God? Nowhere near. The distance is so much. So please beware of the golden chain. Haji? Na karma lipyate nare. Na karma lipyate nare. So, ekdam saralta ke saath mein. So now we talked about the vital. What do we have to do? We have to aspire, we have to reject, we have to offer. Now, what do we have to do for refining our mind? We have to increase our power of concentration. If we want to refine our mind, if we want our mind to go to the higher levels of mind, we've spoken about the higher levels of mind many times. So let's just talk about the first level, which is the higher mind. First thing that we have to do is increase our power of concentration. Right? How can we do that? By giving ourselves more and more moments of meditation. It doesn't have to be 2-hour meditation. A 5-minute meditation. Maybe a 2-minute meditation every 2-3 hours. 2 minutes. How long does it take? But when we go on doing that, we are able to develop within us a kind of a silence. And that silence is very important, to be able to hear the voice of the divine, to hear the will of the divine, to become a channel of the divine. We must be able to attain to silence when we want. Right? At the moment that we want silence, we should be able to, we can't do it today. But if we go on doing it again, practicing, the silence will come to us. Right? Then what else do we have to do? What does the mind have to do? The mind must learn to widen itself, expand itself. What happens? Me and mine, Meri family. But we have to expand, we have to widen ourselves. Right? That's the second thing. First was increase our power of concentration. Second was widen and expand yourself. Third, very important, is cling to a higher ideal. Find an ideal bigger than yourself and cling to that higher ideal and organize your life around that ideal. कुछ ideal बनाए ना अपने लिए कि हम ये करना चाहते हैं, and then cling to that ideal and try to follow that ideal in your life. And fourth is to witness and consciously control your thoughts. जब वो thoughts आते हैं ना, उस समय to become conscious, and we get into the habit of offering that 2-second magic, offering, then we start becoming conscious of our thoughts because we are offering it, right? So become conscious of your thoughts. So we are able to focus on our thoughts, not only what we wish to focus on, but we are able to reject what needs to be thrown away. This thought has come, I don't like it. I offer it to God and I want to reject it. But I can't reject it of my own because the thought comes with its own after that, and a whole series of thoughts comes. But the minute we offer it, disappears. And as I said, the fifth is develop mental silence. Right? So when we have learned to silence the mind at will, and concentrate in receptive silence, then there will be no problem that will be unsolved. Like your problem. You were able to silence yourself. You offered to God, मैं क्या दूं अपनी बहू को, मेरे को कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा. And in that moment, he answered your question. So when we are able to silence ourselves in that tranquility, just like the moonlight reflects on a silent lake, the divine will reflect in our minds with spontaneous clarity. And we will be able to have that laser sharp action that we talked about in the beginning, right? What we ought to do. What ought we to do? The divine's will. The divine's will should enact itself through us. That laser sharp action should happen. But how will that happen? When we are able to develop clarity of the mind and a silence of the mind. Then the divine's will reflect and happen through us. Right? So, we started our discussion today with what should be the aim of our life. And in a broad and general manner, we've understood that yes, it is important to be happy. It is important to have a good job. It is important to earn well. It is important to have a good spouse. It is important to have good children, hardworking children, and the list goes on till the last breath. But that alone cannot give us everlasting joy.
Can I add one more thing?
Yes.
They say the aim of life really is to be happy and to spread happiness to others and to have compassion, genuine compassion for others. That's what makes you really happy from inside.
So you're right. I will tell now today, we'll end our talk by 4 levels. Pleasure, happiness, joy, bliss or ananda. Let us understand what you're saying, Auntie, is right. But it is not an everlasting happiness that happens when you share your happiness. It is important to spread happiness. It's very important. Let us understand. What is pleasure? Pleasure is actually experienced at the physical or tamasic level. I had a good meal. I enjoyed it. It gave me pleasure. Did it last till the next meal? It didn't. Right? I bought myself a fabulous sari. But did it last till I bought the second sari? No, I was again greedy. The second sari also I bought. Right? So, that is pleasure at the lowest level. It is at the physical or tamasic level. Physical joy it gives. Physical things give us joy. Desire, more desires, more desires. When we have a good meal or we receive a bonus, we experience pleasure. Right? So, more cars, more money, etc. But what is beyond pleasure is what you're talking about. Happiness. Happiness is experienced at a vital or rajasic level. Pleasure was experienced at a tamasic level. Material things. Happiness is at a rajasic level. When we are looking out for ways to help others, educate somebody, give some money so that he's able to have a meal, do something for others. This happiness lasts longer than the pleasure of material benefits. And this may also lead to a subtle ego. So we have to be careful. But it doesn't mean we should stop doing for others. We must do, but remember that we are only a bank. What we have in our bank is not ours. The bank does not own the money it has. It is somebody else's money that is kept in the bank. So what we have is the divine's. He has kept some money in your bank, he has kept some money in her bank, he has kept some money in my bank. Now, if I'm giving it, it is the bank's money. It's not mine. So that we have to be very careful. Yes, Sarita? सब काम हो रहा है. हाँ, करते हो तुम कन्हैया. हाँ, करते हो तुम कन्हैया, मेरा नाम हो रहा है. Very true. So, this will lead to a subtle ego. We have to be careful. But happiness is qualitatively higher than the pleasure we receive out of the pleasure of material things. So we talked of pleasure, then we talked of happiness. Now what is the next? Joy. Joy is experienced at a mental level. Now what is that mental level? It's a sattvic level. When do we experience it? Suppose we've talked of a very difficult concept. In the beginning, we talked of supra-cosmic, cosmic-terrestrial, supra-terrestrial, integral. Sounded like, oh my God, bombastic. But when we understood it, what did you experience? Joy. Because a concept was understood, right? A clarity came, that eureka moment came. That is joy which will last longer than pleasure, longer than happiness. When a beautiful poem has come out of you, it just comes out. And it comes out and you read it, you say, wow. So that's joy. It's at the sattvic level, right? Now let's talk of the most beautiful. And that is bliss or ananda. Bliss or ananda is experienced at the psychic level, at the spiritual level, at the soul level. Ananda is experienced as a fruit or the result of an aspiration for a higher life, right? This aspiration for a higher life, there is no restlessness. तू आज मिले, तू कल मिले, तू परसों मिले, ना मिले इस जन्म में, अगले जन्म में मिल. राइट? एक पोयम याद आ रही है. तेरी खोज में ये आनंद है तो, तेरी खोज में ये आनंद है तो, फिर क्या होगा तुझे पाने में? दर्शन की एक चाह मात्र ने सुख बुना है ताने बाने में. You know, when you have that aspiration for God, it has already filled you with a kind of a bliss, a kind of an ananda. तेरी खोज में ये आनंद है तो फिर क्या होगा तुझे पाने में? दर्शन की एक चाह मात्र ने सुख बुना है ताने बाने में. इस जन्म या अगले जन्म में मिल, इस जन्म या अगले जन्म में मिल, मैं तृप्त हूं दिल में बसाने में. बस लगन तेरी यूं लगी रहे, ये कृपा कर अपने दीवाने पे. So it's like a bliss, just looking for him, searching for him, trying to find him, trying to experience him. That is bliss or ananda. What is bliss or ananda? Let's give another example. See, when you touch fire, you get burnt, right? Why? Because the nature of fire is to burn. So if we find that jiska nature hi anand hai, and we keep dipping into that anand, that pool of anand, we keep dipping, so what will we experience but bliss? Because uska nature hi anand hai. तो वो सोल तो हमारे अंदर है. उसको हमारे पुरखों ने क्या कहा है? They've called it सच्चिद आनंद, सच्चिद आनंद. His nature is ananda. So every time you do the 2-second magic, you dip into that pool of ananda, and he has nothing else but ananda to give. So we have nothing to lose by dipping into him, connecting with him, offering to him, and bringing him out into our outer life, bringing him out into our outer body, bringing him out in our vital body, bringing him out in our mental body, and perfecting all of them so they start reflecting the divine himself. So the divine is Ananda. We were looking for happiness. Do we want happiness now or we want bliss? Yes. Right? So,
In the beginning, में what you were saying, ought and is. Can you explain that? And now, what does it?
yes. So what ought do we do? Tell me. After this whole session, what should you be doing? What ought you to be doing?
Follow what comes to me naturally.
No. You ought to offer to the divine. Offer to the divine whatever you are doing. You invite the divine into that action. You bring him out and say, आपको मैं ये offer कर रही हूँ, आप आइए, आप करिए, आप बताइए क्या करना चाहिए. Because हमारा outer being अभी बहुत imperfect है. Physical being अभी भी diseased है ना, अभी भी diseases होती हैं, बीमार होते हैं. Vital being अभी भी मैं मेरा करता है. Mental being अभी भी restricted है. So we are not perfect, but we have the perfect within us. We have an access to the perfect within us. The perfect is Ananda, supreme Ananda. Take a dip, that 2-second magic keh lo, 2-second dip keh lo. But invite him into what you're doing. Do not take the decision just by the mind. Because the mind bhi chaliya hai. Vital और बड़ा छलिया है, physical और बड़ा छलिया है. इन तीनों को उस छलिए से मिलवाना है जो छुपा हुआ अंदर. उसको बुलाना है बाहर. And then, right? So we began our session with the discussion on the aim of our life, and we have come to the conclusion that the aim of our life must be to become the perfect instrument through whom the divine's will and the divine's will alone is manifested seamlessly. Manifested through what? Through our perfected instruments, through our physical body, each level of our being. Our physical body, we have to make it as healthy and perfect as possible. Our vital being must expand and to live in oneness. And our mental being has to learn silence, has to learn to concentrate. So the entire being is perfected and becomes an instrument, and then we will be led more and more towards the experience of Ananda, because we will be dipping into Ananda, inviting that Ananda out. Right? Can I read out a part of a poem? It's a poem that was written as what was that fantastic, momentous question that Arjun had asked of Krishna, that Krishna had to give the Gita as an answer. So the whole poem is a long poem. I won't read all of it out. I will just read from that part from where Krishna is answering to Arjun. अर्जुन ने पूछा कृष्ण से कि मैं नहीं लड़ना चाहता, मैं ये कर लूंगा, मैं वो कर लूंगा. So what did Krishna say? Krishna said, पांडित्य की बातें तो की तूने, पांडित्य की बातें तो की तूने, एक उल्लेख न किया दिव्यता का. पांडित्य की बातें तो की तूने, एक उल्लेख न किया दिव्यता का. चिरंजीव अविनाशी अमर आत्मा, तेरे भीतर बैठी प्रभुता का. तेरी वासना डिजायर, तेरा दम्भ ईगो, तेरी वासना तेरा दम्भ तेरी दुविधा के हैं कारण. मेरी शक्ति करती संहार पार्थ, मैं ही तो करता हूं पालन. Then he says, हर मानव के लिए प्रतिक्षण, हर मानव के लिए प्रतिक्षण, every moment, उत्तम संकल्प एक मेरा है. I have a divine will for each one of you every moment. हर मानव के लिए प्रतिक्षण, उत्तम संकल्प एक मेरा है. उस संकल्प का बनना निमित्त मात्र, उस संकल्प का बनना निमित्त मात्र धर्म गुणाकेश अब तेरा है. This is your dharma, that you become a perfect instrument of that will of mine which is there uniquely for you. जब वासना रहित और दंभ रहित, जब वासना रहित और दंभ रहित धनंजय तू हो जाएगा. संकल्प और कर्मों में अपने तू प्रभु को आन बुलाएगा. तब तब मेरे दिव्य संकल्पों का यंत्र मात्र तू बन जाएगा. तब मेरे दिव्य संकल्पों का यंत्र मात्र तू बन जाएगा. दिव्य पूर्ण और निष्पाप, दिव्य डिवाइन, पूर्ण परफेक्ट, निष्पाप सिनलेस. दिव्य पूर्ण और निष्पाप हर कर्म तेरा हो जाएगा. साधर्म्य मुक्ति की ओर अग्रसर परिवर्तित स्वभाव होगा तेरा. साधर्म्य मुक्ति की ओर अग्रसर परिवर्तित स्वभाव होगा तेरा. दिव्य कर्म प्रवाहित होंगे तुझसे, निमित्त मात्र होगा मेरा. फिर माधव को अर्पण कर युद्ध में अर्जुन ने भाग लिया. फिर माधव को अर्पण कर युद्ध में अर्जुन ने भाग लिया. जीवन का लक्ष्य स्पष्ट हुआ, कर्म दिव्य हुए, पार्थ जाग गया. अभी मेरी अरदास है कृष्ण से, रणभूमि में मैं भी हूं हे कृष्ण, रणभूमि में मैं भी हूं हे कृष्ण, कायरता इसमें वर्जित है. रणभूमि में मैं भी हूं हे कृष्ण, कायरता इसमें वर्जित है. मैं भी अर्जुन हूं, अर्जुन की क्षमता मुझ में भी अर्जित है. मैं भी अर्जुन हूं, अर्जुन की क्षमता मुझ में भी अर्जित है. बनूंगी ऐसा सहज धनुष, बनूंगी ऐसा सहज धनुष, कृष्ण स्वयं भुजा में ले लेंगे. प्रत्यंचा जब जब तानेंगे, दिव्य संकल्प बाण लक्ष्य भेदेंगे। तेरी थी, तेरी हूं, तेरी ही रहूंगी हे प्रभु। तेरे कर का धनुष बन दर्शन करूंगी रूबरू। Thank you. Vande Mataram. Thank you so much. If there is,
Ma'am, it was a wonderful talk.
It was very beautiful, Bhabhi. Really beautiful. So blissful.
I'm so happy. If anybody has any questions here, yes, Ritu.
We need to set ideals for ourselves.
We need to set ideals for ourselves.
Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Okay. See, Auntie had said that you should learn to give, to make other people's lives better. That's an ideal. Because we at least are able to move out of our own circle, me and mine. We get out of that circle. We do something in that. Then you can set up a higher ideal. The higher ideal is that I want to read something that will help me to understand God more clearly. Something that I want to hear something that will make me understand my relationship with God and what should be my relationship with the universe. It's a higher ideal. Because, our homes just soak us up. इसको ठीक कर दिया, उसको ठीक कर दिया, उसको कितनी देर, कितना ठीक करेंगे और कब तक ठीक करेंगे? Till we die, it will keep getting messed up and we'll keep cleaning it. But do that. Of course, we shouldn't live in a messy home. But set a higher ideal, work towards it. Like there are people who've been reading Savitri forever. There are people who are writing Savitri and have been writing it. They've written three times, they've written the whole Savitri. They don't understand, but they're writing. Now, writing, they start understanding also. So, pick up anything that will lift us out of where we are. Where we are is good, but there is better. They're out. So, let us end with a minute of silence.